Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix. Welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game I played for a weekend and I talk about it. This week's game is A Tale of Paper, Refolded for the PS5. It was released in 2024 and it's a single-player puzzle platformer adventure developed by Open House Games and published by Digerati. And also there will be spoilers up ahead just so you know, but first a little backstory. As the story usually goes, I was on the PSN store looking for cheap deals and this game was in my price range. So at the startup of the game you have 5 options: continue, new game, chapters and options, and then extra. And within the option settings you have the ability to adjust the brightness and the master volume and languages. If you pick a new game, you start in a room, you are this paper construct called line, and you basically get awakened by a yellow orb and you can start to explore the room, which is, the first room is a bedroom. And there are a lot of scattered paper on the floor and moving boxes, so I believe this is a way to tell an environmental story. And the first puzzle you need to figure out is how to open the door to get to the other room. So to clarify something, I should probably explain a little bit about the main character. So he's made out of paper and he looks a bit like a rabbit with long ears, and he has glowing yellow eyes, the same color as the orb from the beginning of the game. So in the next room you will find a boarded up door with the text Kneel on it with child characters. Like one of those things you get for kids so they can put them up their doors, I guess. So something is up with this. I don't know if this ever gets sold, who actually lives there, or what actually really happened. So in the next room you find a key on a table and a paper crane on one of the support beams in the ceiling. So you can't reach those yet, you need a transformation power. So I went up a flight of stairs and I ran into the first enemy of the game, which is these robotic hoovers called a Roomba. And it was kind of funny, if you get sucked up by this Roomba, there's a horrible animation of the paper construct getting shredded into small bits. So in this room, on top of the table is a fish tank, an empty one. You get into that one, you get another ability which basically lets you unscrew screws so you can progress through games. So this is used to open up ventilation shafts and ducts so you can sneak around house more. So you get into another room and you find the frog ability, and this ability turns you into a paper frog and you can't move while in this form, you can only jump higher. So you go through some vents and that loops back to the beginning of the game, and you can actually get the key on the table as before, and then you can also reach the support beams in the ceiling to get the crane. And the cranes in this game, it kind of unlocks the story that's about to unfold about the characters. This is like a little sketchbook, and you can get one origami crane in each level, and once you fill up the whole book you get an achievement for it. So in the room up ahead there is a box elevator that will reach a flight of stairs, and it makes sense for the elevator to be there in gameplay, but in real life not so much. It's so out of place. But once you go up the stairs you need to be in frog form because some of the steps are missing. It makes it easier to jump long distances with the frog form. And once you climb these stairs the music builds and it gets more stupid and weird how you get up the stairs. And then there are these boxes and plotted plans that you can push down the edge. I thought it was like in Stray that you can get like a game Stray, where you can get achievements for knocking down stuff and just like a cat would. And I felt a little bit happy, if that makes sense, just to push down things and break them. So at the top of the stairs you will find the attic, and here is where things get a little weird. There are these planets hanging from the ceiling, so you jump over those to try to reach the end of it and not fall down into the water below, because if you fall into the water you will drown because you're made out of paper. And then you get another ability that turns you into a paper bowl, and you use that to go through pipes. So going through some pipes you will eventually wind up at a scaffolding, and it's a really cool effect. It's kind of backlit, so it looks a bit like a Little Nightmare, the game I mean. And then I found another paper crane and I got into the sewers and I found yet another paper crane, and then there's like a dark tunnel with some eyes that are googly looking, looking at you, following wherever you go. I think this is like an in-game joke or something. And a bit up ahead there's a water puzzle. You need to drain a tank with some valves. I had no idea how I beat this. I just turned the valves and all of a sudden the puzzle was completed. And in the bottom of this tank there's a key that you need to pick up, and there are these poor fishes that are left rattling around, and yeah, kind of sad. And then there are some more pipes leading into an elevator, and you find yourself in a subway, and if you go the wrong way you would die of radiation, I guess. So you need to head straight forward on this train track in order to avoid a train. And that leads to falling to a cave with a huge disgusting spider, and there was something very unsettling with this spider. So you go through its lair without being detected by it, ended up on an iron walkway, and as I said before, it's a little bit like Little Nightmares. This game is very similar to it. And then there are also more valve puzzles. I did a thing they were not supposed to. There are like 4 different colored valves that you need to push, and I just brute force it because I didn't realize the first time that I played what I was supposed to do, but I figured out the combination somehow. And then you wind up in the sewers again with this huge spider, and this time it's more of a homage to another game called Crash Bandicoot. So you're chased down by this huge spider and the camera is right in front of you, so you have to avoid pitfalls and whatnot. And I died so many times doing this, and there's actually an achievement tied to this. If you don't die once, you get it. And then you go into a pipe, and then you end up at a place. This doesn't make any sense. You end up in a rooftop section where you get another ability, which is called the paper plane, and you can fly around these rooftops along the balcony and walkways. And it's actually kind of serene and nice. And then you end up in a larger space where you go down like a little hole and you fly up in a rocket to space. And I was like, what is going on? And then you continue with the rest of the game. And then you get to play as another character, but this character is possessed by a blue orb instead of a yellow one. So the whole point of this section is to get into an observatory, to fly away in a rocket, and you get some abilities here as well. They're a little bit different from the first guy. So you get this double jump in form of a bird transformation, and you get the rocket. And the rocket is basically a mid-dash jump ability. So you need to fuel this rocket in order to go to space to see your friend. And you meet up at this asteroid belt, and I think there is like a symbolical meaning here as well, that you are like the sun and the other character is like the moon or something like that, because they are both displayed in the background. And once you've beaten the main story, there's actually some collectibles you can do. You can go into the chapter selection and you will see exactly how many paper cranes that you missed and where to find them. That's really nice. So you have to beat the level and get the crane. And then once you do so, you go into the extra and you can see the scrapbook filled out the story. So I still don't understand the story. There's like an old man and I don't know. There's basically drawings in like 2 pages and something like that. So there's another funny reference in the end credits where they thank all the family members and people that supported them and whatnot. And there's also a funny mention of a guy that's also thank to the guy that stole one of the programmer's bike and microwave from the lunchroom or something like that. I was like, that's damn funny. Who would steal a bike and yet again like a microwave? That's just stupid and crazy. And now it's finally time for the DLC. It will unlock when you beat the main storyline. So you're this other paper construct in a house, and this time you have purple eyes. I played a little bit of this week. I didn't actually finish the game, but you get this other ability. It's like a Japanese toy, like a spinning toy, and that can be used as like a flutter jump, if that makes sense. So this house that you're in doesn't make any sense at all. There are warm furnaces, parts, and fire, and it's not at all like a normal house would be laid out, but you go through from room to room and you unlock abilities and whatnot, just as the previous games. But I had a lot of fun playing this week. So gameplay, go through the storylines with the different characters, learn their abilities, and well, complete the game. Control, the left stick moves the character around, X button is jump, R1 is interact, L1 is run, Option pauses the game, and there are different transformations mapped to the triangle, square, and circle buttons. So you can, turn into a paper ball, transform into a frog, a plane, and it's different from each character, and these abilities are mapped down at the bottom of the screen. Graphics. So this game was made in Unity engine, and it looks a bit like a simpler version of Little Nightmares, if that makes sense. Some areas are a bit too dark, so you can hardly see what you're doing. Maybe it's just some TV settings on my end, but I believe it's general the same for everyone who plays it. Sound and music. Eric Zero was the composer and sound designer for this game, and the music is in the background, but it pops when it needs to. And also some of the menu sounds are remarkably similar to the 3DS menu sounds, and I don't know if he just ripped them from the 3DS, but maybe he did. Easter egg, secrets, and glitches. So in the attic area where you play as Line, there is a basketball hoop, and if you jump through that hoop in the form of the ball, you will hear a horn sound and some confetti will drop down. And if you do this a couple of times, a trophy will pop. So there was another glitch that I encountered in the final chapter of the game, the DLC, Refolded. So once you get the flutter jump, the Japanese spin toy thingy, that ability, I brute forced my way through a window and I ended up out of bounds, and I kept falling and falling, and I had to restart the level. There was no other way of getting out of it. It's kind of weird being in this white void. I know I deserve it, but it's kind of funny. I always try to do these things because some Unreal Engine games have this problem with collision. It's the same thing with the Unity engine. So it's kind of funny to push boundaries, I guess. So in conclusion, I wrote, yes, try it if you like Little Nightmares. So this game is very simple yet interesting. It has a certain atmosphere about it, lots of checkpoints, and it's very unforgiving. And just like that, it feels like a poor version of Little Nightmares. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but things look a little bit unpolished. So that's the only bad thing I can say about the game, I guess. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.